Hello, Land of Me coaches. Welcome to another episode of the Business Breakthrough with Barbara Show. I am so pumped for today's episode. There are so many things that I relate to for today's topic, which, if you don't know what we're going to talk about, we are going to be diving into answering the question of whether you can be successful in business when you actually feel like a failure in life. This is a conversation that I've been having with a handful of my clients. Is definitely a conversation I have every year with a lot of the women that I work with, but not something I have talked to you guys about. So, welcome and good morning. Hello, Julie. If you are here, drop me an emoji. I love to know that you guys are here. Before I forget, because I always forget this, every Monday we go live at 10 a.m. Eastern to talk all things starting, growing, and scaling a super profitable business. And if you are here live or if you're here watching the replay and you want to apply for a chance to win a one-on-one coaching session with me, for free, make sure that you drop an emoji below because every week at the end of the week, we come back to the live stream and we pick one lucky winner who will get a chance to get my support, my eyes, my attention, and my expertise on their business for free. It's a way to give back to you guys. I love this community. I love all of you. And this show is like one of my most passionate things. And I just love being able to support you in that way. So, drop me an emoji if you want to apply for that. Hello, hello, good morning. Um, okay, super passionate about this topic, like very, very passionate. And I'm gonna share some personal examples as to why I feel passionate about it. I feel like not a lot of coaches are talking about this, right? In the online space, it's not really that sexy to talk about the idea that life, like you can feel like a failure in some areas of your life, right? In the online space, it's only sexy to talk about everything is perfect, right? Like business is perfect, everything's easy, life is great. Look at me traveling. Um, Look at me achieving all of these amazing things, and look at my amazing and perfect relationship. And it's really easy to start feeling like, well, I can't do this, right? Like all of these individuals have it all figured out. And that is the furthest thing from the truth. Okay, so let's just start by answering the question: can you feel successful in your business when you feel like a failure in life? The answer is 100% absolutely yes. The thing is that most people don't know how to do that because it's very, very hard to feel like you're failing at something in life and then also feel like you're succeeding, especially if you're doing something that requires uh, your whole person, right? Like coaching, right? Like, how can you hop on a coaching call with a client when something is not going that good in your life? Right? No one really teaches us this. No one really explains how to do it. No one really even gives us the reassurance that it's possible. So, what happens is we either have really good runs in business when everything is good, or when things are bad, we kind of feel like a failure in business. We stop showing up, or we just don't give it our full potential. And that's when you go into like fluctuating cycles, right? You're either really, really good because everything's really, really good, or you start going down because something in your life is not the way that you want it to be. Good morning, everyone. Julie, Stormy, Christine, Talina, welcome and good morning. Love that you guys are here live. I always love my live people because you guys get to party with me. Um, Okay, so nobody teaches us how to do that. So, yes, you can feel successful, you can build success, you can even have the most profitable month in your business if you learn how to navigate this correctly. Okay, I have a few stories that are going to explain to you why I'm so passionate about this today. Um, so let me just go into that and then I'll give you a few steps and tips and tools of how you can start feeling successful and achieving success in your business, no matter what's happening in your life. Yeah? Okay. So, a few things. I think 3 years ago, I think it was 2017, it was like one of the first times, not the first time, but one of the first times that I launched my group coaching program, which is called Overlook to Fully Booked. Um, and while I was in the middle of that launch, okay, the most horrible thing that could have happened at that point, which is I had three dogs at the time, and one of them really suddenly passed away, like very, very suddenly. And it's just really crazy that today happens to be her heaven anniversary because I'm talking about this today. Because I think that was one of the experiences that really taught me the importance of separating life and business, right? So I was in the middle of this launch. My dog got sick. She wasn't old. She was 8 years old at the time, which is not that old for a dog. Like she could have still lived a long time. And she got really sick all of a sudden. I had to take care of her in the middle of me launching this new program. And she just got sicker and sicker and sicker. And then when I thought she was getting better with medicine, she just passed away in my room, like while I was taking care of her. And it was very, very, very hard for me because I was grieving the loss of a pet while simultaneously doing something very scary and draining and new in my business, right? So today is such a kind of like an imperative day for me to talk about this because that experience really taught me that your life doesn't need to be perfect. It could be the farthest thing from perfect, and you can still achieve. And that went to be at that time my most profitable group coaching launch. It was the easiest and it was just amazing. I got it booked out, like, and I had to open up more spots. Okay. But I would not have been able to do it if I would not have embraced the things that I'm going to teach you today, right? Because it would have been so easy for me to be like, absolutely not. I'm grieving. I feel like a failure. I feel like a fail uh, fur baby mom. I feel like I just let my dog down. I feel like all of this is happening. How could I achieve success when all of this is happening? How can I go through with this launch? How can I show up for it when I know that I don't feel as good as I possibly can? Right? So that's a really good example as to why I really need to explain to you guys. Like, you can be sad. You can have a difficult time with your partner. You can be going through a divorce. You can be losing someone that you love or a pet that you love. You can get into a fight with someone that day. You can be going through self esteem issues. You could be gaining weight, hello, and not feel at your best and still show up for your business and feel successful in your business and create success in your business. Yeah? Does that make sense? Right? I know it maybe feels impossible, but it is. We just need to nail down how do we actually navigate that? Because it's not the same. The way that you show up and create success and feel successful in your business when something is not going right in your life, it's not the same as to how you show up for your business when everything is going great, right? Like saying that it's the same, it's just a disservice because it's not going to be. You have to show up differently and you have to be aware of certain points that are going to help you do that. Okay. Um, so even little things, right? So I'll give you another personal story because I think sometimes this can be helpful. This was certainly helpful for two of my clients last week, and I think it will be helpful for you guys. So through the period of my business, at the very beginning, if some of you don't know this, Starland Coaching and myself as a coach, we were not where we wanted to be from the beginning, right? Like I started from zero, no connections, barely any money in my bank account, like nothing, right? And I started my business really young, which is a really good thing. But still, I really had nothing. And at the very, very beginning, I I had broken off a really toxic relationship, um, leaning towards like abusive at that point, and I had moved back in with my parents because what the heck, I'm not gonna stay in an abusive relationship just out of my pride of not wanting to move back in with my parents. So I moved back in with my parents to break that off and get back on track, right? And that's kind of a little bit later after I got my certifications, I started my business. Then I started dating my current boyfriend. And at the very beginning of my business, it was totally okay for me to live with my parents. But then years and years went by, and I started to build a lot of success. I started to generate a lot of income. I started working with a ton of clients. Like, business was really good. But on the front end, I felt like a failure because I was still living with my parents. And the funny thing is, I could have moved out at that point, right? Like, I had more than enough money in my bank account to move out. But because in this current relationship, we were both working towards achieving one goal before we could move in together, we both had decided to stay at our parents until we both achieved that goal. For me, it was building my business to the level where I could afford a really nice place, which happened earlier. And then for him, it was to get his master's. So I really felt like such a failure because I was still living with my parents. However, you are allowed to feel like you're failing at something, and you are also allowed and capable to move through that with ease and acceptance and still continue to build success, which is what happens. Maybe some of you are struggling with body image issues, or maybe you just went through a really big separation, or maybe you're going through a phase where you just get into a fight with your kid every single day. Perhaps you're struggling with anxiety or depression or whatever, right? Like, life is life. You're a human. You are going to experience moments where you feel like a failure in life in different areas of your life. So, are you guys ready? I'm going to dive in and teach you exactly how to navigate this, okay? So, first things first, I think this is a really big misconception for new coaches, right? Um, we like it's really easy to feel like, in order to be a good coach, if you guys have a journal and a pen in front of you, write this down because this is super important. In order to be a good coach, you do not have to be a perfect human. Okay? It's really hard to accept this, and it's really hard to understand that this is true at first, but it's the truth. There is no profession in this planet where you are expected to not have a human experience, right? No matter what you're doing, whether you're a doctor or a lawyer, or you work at the grocery store, or you clean houses, it doesn't matter what you're doing, you are still a human, right? You are still going to feel things that don't feel good. You are still going to go through phases where you feel like a failure, right? Like, think about anyone that you know that works, that's not a coach. They go through their own stuff. Like, all of my friends who do not have their own business, they're going through stuff every day. They're going through miscarriages or divorces, or it sounds like all my friends are messed up, but really, it's the truth. Like, everyone's going through something different in life. So, step number one to feel successful in your business, even when something is happening in your life, is to understand that it's okay for you to be a human, right? Like, when we give the definition that going through something difficult means that we're not a good coach or means that we're not a good entrepreneur, then automatically, as soon as something difficult comes up, then we feel like we shouldn't be showing up for our business and entrepreneurship because we are failing at life, right? That's not how it's supposed to be. But when we can start redefining what being a good entrepreneur and coach means, right? Then it's easier to know, like, hey, this is happening means absolutely nothing with my capacity to show up, right? Like, it means absolutely nothing with my capacity to coach. Actually, I have coached so many clients through amazing periods of their business, like reaching incredible goals and income milestones when some of the most difficult things in my life have happened through the things I'm going to teach you today. And by the way, there's also a blog that's kind of like a part of this too. It comes out every Wednesday if you're part of my email list. So if you're part of my email list, you get my blog posts first. And if you're just in the group, you will also get it, but you will get it on Thursday. But there's also a blog that I expand on around this, okay? But this is super like the very basic foundation, okay? So do you guys get this? Okay, accepting your humanness, accepting that you can be a good coach, even if you're sad, even if you're angry, even if you get into a fight, even if your tire pop, right? Like you can still be a good coach. Yeah? We just have to learn step number 2, which is we have to learn how to separate our business from our life. Okay? There are so many people who see the two as like the same thing, right? So like you're probably wondering, how can I be a good coach when I'm feeling like crap in my life, right? Like how can I be a good coach when I'm getting into a fight with my partner before I go to bed every night? How can I be a good coach when I look at myself in the mirror and I just don't feel comfortable with what I see, right? You can. We just have to learn how to separate the two. Yeah? Life and business are not the same thing. They're closely related, of course, right? Like business is a part of your life, but they're not the same thing, right? So when you can draw the line between the two, you can start to see like, all right, this really crappy thing is happening here, but that does not take away that good things could be happening here, right? So let me give you another example. So like maybe you gained a lot of weight and you're not feeling as comfortable as you can. Sorry, I keep giving you like personal examples, but it's like the first thing that comes to my mind. Perhaps you gained a lot of weight and you're not feeling super comfortable with the way that you look and feel. That doesn't mean that your relationship needs to suck, right? Like you can still have an amazing relationship with your romantic partner. One thing does not equate the other. They're two separate things. They can mesh together, right? Like you could be, well, I gain weight, therefore my entire life is not good, right? Like you could start not feeling super lovey with the person that you're with. You could start not going out with your friends because you feel uncomfortable. You could start sleeping in and not showing up for your business because you gain weight, right? That's something that you feel like a failure on at the moment, and you could easily mesh it into other things. But there is an alternative, and this is what I mean, like nobody really talks about this. There is an alternative, which is you separate the thing that you feel like a failure from everything else, right? Like me gaining weight doesn't mean that I can't be a loving partner or that my partner can be loving to me, right? Or me gaining weight doesn't mean that I can't show up for these live streams and be extremely passionate and share with you guys all the knowledge, experience, and expertise that I have, right? It also doesn't mean that I can't launch something. It also doesn't mean that I can't have a photo shoot, right? Like it just means that I maybe not feel that comfortable here, right? But I can separate it from everything else. Is this resonating? Okay. Let me know if this resonates. Let me know if it doesn't. Or let me know if you want to go further. So the question that I have for you today is, how can you separate your business from whatever you feel like a failure from? Yeah? How can we draw that line? How can we be like, okay, cool, I may feel like this over here. However, that does not have to leak into this side. They are two separate entities, and I am allowed to feel whatever I need to feel everywhere else in my life, but that doesn't mean that I need to entirely, completely, and utterly mesh it together with my business. This is a hard thing to master, very, very hard thing. It takes time and practice and energy, and it's never going to be perfect because again, you're human. It's you running your business. So every once in a while, a little bit of it is going to leak into different areas, right? But it's not about getting it perfect. It's just about understanding that it's an option and that the more that you work through that separation, the easier that it's going to be for you to build success no matter what is happening. Okay. Difficult to separate both lives when we work from home. Yes, very, very difficult. But, 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 this is where creating structure in your business comes in so helpful. Like, because when you're doing business and you're just kind of like, well, I woke up and like I did a little bit of housework, and then when I felt like it, I did something for my business, and then the next day I did something, and the next day I did a little bit at 2 p.m. And your business doesn't really have a structure, right? Like you just every once in a while you like write some content, and every once in a while you like do a live stream. Like there's no uh structure, sculpture to your business. So then that makes it so hard to separate it from your life because it's just kind of like this thing that you do through your life. But when you start giving your business some structure and you're like, this is what my business looks like, these are my processes, these are the times and days that I show up for certain things, right? Like when you have that structure, then you can kind of like clock on and clock off and be like, all right, cool. I had a really crappy morning. My tire popped, my shirt got a stain, and my mom pissed me off. Okay, you had a really crappy morning. If your business didn't have structure, then that's going to leak throughout your day. But if your business does have structure, you could be like, okay, cool. I'm clocking off from life. I'll come back to like the disappointment and the annoyance and the anger that I have. But right now, it's time for me to do X. It's time for me to work on Y. It's time for me to sit down and do follow ups, right? Because that's just the habit and the routine that you have for your business. And you can kind of like clock on and clock off and be like, I'm going to leave this here for a second and I'm going to focus on business. But if you don't have that, then it's going to be hard for you to separate it, right? Because everything is just one thing that you do over here and you do over there, and you can't really disconnect from one because you don't really know where the other one begins. Does that help? Does that make sense? Let me know if that helps. It's really, especially if you work from home, having a solid strategy, having a solid structure for your business, it's what's going to help you separate it. Because how can you separate something that doesn't have its own form, right? Like you need to know Mondays at 10 a.m., I do my live stream. Tuesdays from 10 to 2, I take client calls. Wednesdays, I work on my weekly blog posts, whatever. I'm just throwing things out there. Everyone's business is going to be different. But that helps me be like, all right, cool, awesome. I woke up, I was feeling really bad about myself, but you know what? It's 10 a.m. Shake it off, wash your face, put some lipstick on. It's time to go and do your weekly live stream. And you clock off and you focus on your business and you build success on your business. But you've got to have that structure so that you can clock off from one and clock on to the other. That's how you separate them, by creating a different thing, right? If you don't have that, it's going to be very, very difficult, if not nearly impossible. Okay. All right. So we got to embrace our humanness. We have to separate our business from our life. The third thing I want to talk about is really being careful with the Al when fallacy. Okay. So I think so many people have this fallacy that I will do X when Y happens. Okay. I will start doing live streams when my arms are skinnier. I will start reaching out to people when I have a testimonial. I will start my Facebook group when I have a program created. Okay. That's a really big fallacy that so many new coaches fall into. I will do, be, or act as Y when X happens. What this is doing, it's really reinforcing the habit of like, life needs to be perfect in order for me to do things. Okay. When things happen, then I do things, right? When things are perfect, then I do things. When I feel good, then I do things. Yeah. Such a big fallacy. So, what's the word I'm looking for? Detrimental. So detrimental to creating business success. Okay. Because there will always be something else that you input there. Okay. So let me just read comments and then I'll come back to this. Makes sense. However, even if I have structure, thanks to you. Oh, yay. These are days when I can't clock off, as you said. Okay, I'm going to come back to that. I agree on the third one. Done is better than perfect. Beautiful. What do you call that? Hey, Stephanie. Welcome. Um, I'm probably saying it wrong because of my accent, but I call it the I'll when fallacy. So, like, I will blank when blank fallacy. Okay. I will blank when blank fallacy. I'm going to dive a little deeper into this. And Julie, I'm going to go back to what you said because that's my fourth and final point for the day. And then definitely read this week's blog post because I think it's going to be really helpful for you. So going back to the fallacy, guys, what we do when we get into that habit of like, I will ask someone to hop on a call when I move out of my parents' house and when I have a better backdrop. I will do my weekly show when I lose weight. I will pitch more confidently when I have a perfect sales page. Okay. Here's what we're doing with that. Number one, like I said, um, we are waiting for things to be perfect in order for us to take action. Okay. So if we do that, we're always going to feel like a failure overall because there is always something that we can input after the one. Okay. Because life will never be perfect. Business will never be perfect because you're a human. You are always going to be experiencing something. Okay. If it's not cramps, it's a headache. If it's not a headache, it's a fight. If it's not a fight, it's someone letting you down. If it's not someone letting you down, it's you waking up and not feeling super comfortable. If it's not you feeling comfortable, it's your kid screaming at you. If it's not your kid screaming at you, it's your pet passing away, right? Like there will always be something that we can input on the one side, right? So like if we say, I will do X, I will do this thing when this happens, we can always keep putting things into when that happens, right? I've fallen into this trap so many times, right? Like I will do videos when I'm not living with my parents. I will do videos when I have a better backdrop. I will do videos when my lipstick gets here. I will do videos when I have 1,000 people in my group. I will do videos when I have more clients. I will do videos when I have more engagement, right? And then you can keep getting the one and you can, sorry, and you can always find a new thing to put there. I will do videos when I have my new AirPods. It's just a never ending cycle. It's a never ending cycle. That's only keeping you away from doing the scary things by trying to find perfection that doesn't exist. Make sense? This is like super deep, which I love. But the I will when fallacy is not conducive to building success no matter what happens in your business, right? It actually takes away from our self responsibility. It actually takes away our power because we are constantly thinking that outside circumstances, it's what's going to help us show up. Instead, your new mantra is I will do it right now, no matter what is happening outside. I will do it right now, even if it's imperfect. I will do it right now, even if I don't feel at my best, right? And I'm going to give it my best. And if it's not the bestest that I ever do, then that's fine. That's okay. I will do it right now, even if no one shows up live. I will do it right now, even if there's only 3 people in my group. That is what's going to help you continue to build success no matter what's happening. Even if you feel like a failure because your group is small, even if you feel like a failure because someone let you down, even if you feel like a failure, like that is the thing. That is the new mindset shift that's going to help you continue to show up for your business because it's a separate thing, even when things outside are not exactly where you want them to be. Imagine if going back 6 years ago when I first started Starland Coaching, imagine I would have said, like, well, I will start my business when I move out of my parents' house. I could have easily said that because, guys, it was really hard. It was really hard to see so many coaches in like really beautiful houses and beautiful kitchens and like building financial abundance, and I'm still like living with my parents. It was very hard, right? But then that would have been 6 years that I wasted waiting for the perfect time or the perfect scenario or whatever. And it's just crazy the stories that we tell ourselves because that was all just comparison. It was just comparison of like, I want the perfect uh, environment in order for me to do things. And it was just in my mind because literally I knew that for years I could have moved out, but it was just still in the back of my mind. The beautiful thing is that when you train yourself to not fall into this fallacy, then you understand that it's okay. Life cannot be perfect. Things can feel uncomfortable, and that's fine. You can grieve, you can process, you can experience, you can be mad at people, you can be angry, and then you can still show up for your business and your dreams and the 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 experience that you're looking to create as an entrepreneur. Make sense? Please let me know if this resonates. Please let me know if I'm talking too fast. Please let me know if you want me to further explain. Also, let me know if you're feeling inspired or if this is like a good conversation that you guys wanted to have. Obviously, every week, all of these episodes are created for you. Um, so the more feedback that I get, the more that I can support you in the things that you guys want and like the most. Okay, got it. Beautiful. So, Julie, let's go back to your last point, which is makes sense. However, even if I have structure, thanks to you, hearts over here, um, there are days in which I can't clock off, as you said. Okay, so going back to something that I mentioned where I said every profession, every human that has a profession has an imperfect life, right? Every human grieves, every human experiences a space in their life where they feel like a failure or where they feel like they could be doing better. Even if you're a doctor, even if you're a lawyer, right? Like everyone experiences that. They still just have this thing that they had to clock on and clock off from, which is what we need to do as entrepreneurs. However, they also get sick days. They also get mental health days, right? So if you are, I don't know, I'll give you another personal example. If you work at a restaurant, okay, I know this is not like the fanciest job ever, but you're allowed to call in sick and you're allowed to be like, I don't feel good today. I'm not coming in. You're also allowed to do that for your business sometimes. Not all the time. It can't be a consistent habit, right? But you're also allowed to give yourself permission and be like, you know what? I'm calling in for the day. I just do not feel good. Going back to my example of when my dog passed away in the middle of that launch, rest assured that I called off some days and I was like, I can't do this today. I'm going to set up the emails that are going out and I just can't bother with them. I'm clocking off. I'm laying in my bed all day and I'm crying, right? You also need to learn to know when do you actually need some time to refresh, recharge, grieve, process, feel better, take some vitamins, drink some water, go for a walk, right? Like you may need a half day, you may need a quarter of a day, you may need a whole day, right? That's okay too, right? Like you're not a slave to your business. You're not a slave to your business, just like you shouldn't be a slave to your 9 to 5 or to your job, right? Like you're technically in a good working environment, allowed to take days off if you're sick. You're allowed to take days off if you need a mental health day. You're allowed to take vacation. You're allowed to take PTO. So why wouldn't you allow yourself to do that for your business as well? Right? Like, you're not a slave. You don't have to work 365 days a year perfectly every single day from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. That like defeats the entire purpose of having a business, which is to build flexibility, financial freedom, and make an impact in other people's life. Yeah. So if you're having one of those days where you're like, I just cannot separate my life from my business because what's happening in my life is so strong, and I need some time off, and I need to take a nap, and I need to sleep, or I need to go to the gym, or whatever you need, ask yourself, like, how much time do I need for myself? What do I need to make myself feel better? Right? Like, how can you get yourself into an empowered space, and what do you need from yourself to do that? Okay. Now, it's all a balance. You can't be doing that all the time, but you also can't be just like working yourself to death every single day, because you're going to resent your business, and it's just not going to work that way. So give yourself permission to take some time off if you need to. Give yourself permission to process if you need to. You may not even need a day off, right? Like, maybe you just need to give yourself permission to sleep in that day. Or maybe you just need to give yourself permission to, instead of writing your content on Monday, you write it on Tuesday so that you can journal on Monday and process whatever's going on. Or maybe you just need to, let's see, just one more example. Instead of doing your reach outs, your outreach at the end of the day, you're going to cancel that today, because at the end of the day, you are going to give yourself a pedicure to feel better about yourself and to take care of yourself, right? That doesn't mean that you're going to do that every day of the week or every week or every month, right? Like, it just means that you have to do what needs to be done to make yourself feel better. Just make sure that if you do that, you are doing things that make you feel better, right? Sometimes, in Fendi's example, when she passed away, sometimes that meant that I had to make myself feel like crap and cry for an entire day for me to feel better the next day. Sometimes it means that I need to spend 5 hours doing my nails so I feel like I love myself now, not when I lose weight, right? Sometimes it means that I need to sleep in because I want to sleep really, really late. And we all need our beauty sleep, you know? You got to figure out what you need at the moment and allow yourself to give yourself that. Okay? All right. I think this is a great conversation, but I don't think, if my mind doesn't have clarity, that I can give my full attention to where it needs to be. Okay, I think I get it. So if you are, oh God, I feel like we've been going so long in our past episodes, but that's totally fine. So tell me if I'm getting this right. So if you're going through something in life where you feel like a failure, that's like taking up all of your mental space, like, it's really hard for you to give your attention to something when your mind's not there, right? Like, you just don't have the mental capacity to do it, right? I think that's what you mean. And if that's what you mean, I'm just going to go back to what I said. When you have structure in your business, you don't need clarity, because you just know what you're doing, right? Like, when you know, like, this is what I do, this is when I do it, this is how I do it, you don't have to be like, well, what are we doing today? What should I give my attention to? Like, you have no decision making to make. You're just like, this is how my business operates, this is what needs to be done. I'm just gonna get it done. I'm just gonna do it. Like, I think back when I was a server, it's like, if I had days where I didn't feel good, or where I got into a fight with my mom, or where a friend let me down, or whatever, it's just like, I would just go in there and be like, I know I need to grab this fork and this knife and put it in this napkin and roll it up, right? Like, there's no thinking. There's just like, I sit down and put it in front of me and I just do it. I don't have to feel good. I don't have to have like the best mental space. I just gotta do what I know that needs to be done. So that's why structuring your business is so helpful, because you don't have to think, you don't have to decide, you don't have to get innovative, you don't have to get super creative. It's just more of like, look, I don't have clarity in my life. I'm going through a really difficult spot, but I know that all I have to do is copy and paste this post on Monday. And I know that all I have to do is invite one person, copy and paste this message and invite one person into my group, or like whatever it is, you just know what you have to do so you don't have to overthink it. Okay. Um, let's see what else do we have here. Okay, so you mean working with clients. Okay. So not business operations, but actually being in the front end of your business and working with clients. So I think this has come with time. Um, I think maybe this wasn't always the case. I can't really remember, but I think I've gotten to a point where it's like my clients are so important to me, that I taught myself how to disconnect myself from my own. I think that's such a good attribute and trait to master as a coach, right? Like, even if you're going through a good time, disconnecting yourself from it and really focusing on the client itself and their success and their um, dreams and aspirations and goals, it's going to help you. Like, even if you're going through a perfect time. Now, it's going to help you even more when you're going through a difficult time, right? So I think you will get to a point, and this comes with practice. This comes with doing it imperfect. This comes with doing it even when it feels uncomfortable. This comes with doing it even when you don't feel like doing it, right? It comes with practice, but I think I've gotten to a phase where it's like, I know that eventually something in my life is gonna, how do you say it in English? Drop the shoe will drop, something like that, a saying like that. Like, I know that something will happen, something unexpected will happen that will not feel perfect, that will make me feel like a failure, that will make me feel sad. And I'm kind of so aware of that. And I've also gotten to the acceptance that my clients are more important than that, right? Like, my clients are like there is just such a passion and a drive that I've gotten to, that it's like you really learn how to be like, this really sucks, but I love my clients and I love supporting them so much, and they're so important to me. I think it's kind of like, I'm not a mom and it's obviously uncomparable. I feel like that's maybe how some moms will feel, where it's like, yeah, this really sucks, but also I love my kids so much. And it's not to say that I mom my clients, but it's just to try to give you an example. But I feel like maybe that's what it would be like, where it's like, I love my kids so much. So even if X thing is happening, I'm still going to love my kid. I'm still going to feed them. I'm still going to take care of them. I'm still going to do what needs to be done because I love them so much that I'm willing to focus on them even when something is going on inside of me, while obviously simultaneously taking care of yourself. But that's kind of like the idea, where it's like, eventually with practice, with coaching people through the good times and the bad times. I mean, I've been doing this for 6 years, so it's definitely taking a while to get to a level where it's like, this is greater than anything else that's happening, and I'm capable of separating it. But at first it's going to feel uncomfortable. At first it's going to feel like, I cannot do this, right? Like, how can I hop on the phone with someone and do this? And then eventually you do it, and you do it again and you do it again, and then you learn, like, okay, well, I need to meditate and eat healthy foods when I'm going through a difficult time so that I have the energy to take care of my clients. Or like, you start learning what you need to fuel yourself so that you can still serve your clients, and you start learning that their success and you supporting them, it's such a big drive and such a big passion that eventually it starts overcoming the difficult things in your life. But it takes time, right? You don't need to get this perfect at the beginning. You may feel uncomfortable at first, and you may feel like it's impossible. I definitely have felt like it's impossible. But I promise you, with practice, it's going to get easier to separate the two, right? Okay, I'm gonna leave it off here, guys, because we have gone on and on and on and on, and I'm trying to keep them shorter because everyone's super busy, but I feel like everything we talked about is super important. If you're watching the replay or if you're here live and you have any other questions, pop them in the comment section. If you want to win a free one-on-one coaching session with me, drop me an emoji or a GIF or a GIF, however you say it, or let me know one-on-one coaching session or whatever. Just let me know that you want to participate in the coaching session giveaway for the week, and my team and I will pick one person by the end of the week who will get that free coaching session. Totally unrelated, but I always have to let you guys know, if any of you watching this are interested in starting a profitable Facebook group, definitely take my mini course. It is on the description. It is $17, and I guide you step by step into starting a profitable group from the very beginning. As some of you may know, my Facebook group is my number one client acquisition tactic that I have in my business. It is the very beginning of most of my funnels. It brings me free leads every single day, and it has been one of the best things that I have ever done for my business. So if you have been wanting to start your own group, definitely click on the link above and join that mini course. Other than that, blog post comes out on Wednesday if you're in my email list, on Thursday if you're in the group, and I will see you next Monday at the same time, 10 a.m. Eastern, for another episode of the Business Breakthrough with Barbara Show. Love you, everyone. Bye bye.